Attract what you expect. Reflect what you desire. Become what you respect. And mirror what you admire. Henry B. Guest. Welcome to the Good Karma Success Coach podcast. My name is Melinda Van Fleet, and I'm a mindset success coach. My husband Ryan and I were laid off at the same time 10 years ago. We moved to the Florida Keys without jobs, not knowing anyone, hardly any money, and we never even been here. So all along, I've said that someday, when we get our quote-unquote shit together, we will help others. Because since then, we've done a lot of self-work and both built successful businesses. Each week, my intent is to be relatable and bring you tactical tips, tools, share my learnings and stories that can help inspire you or transform you wherever you are in your career or general life. I strongly believe that if I can do it, you can do it too. So what's stopping you? This might just be a short little one this week, just to kick off your week with a positive thought process and some things to think about, some ways to change your mind, your brain, and be sending out some positive manifestations for the future. And, just overall have a great week and work on having just an amazing life. I'm always trying to fine-tune some things, so I have picked up on just a couple little tips and things over the past week or so that I've just kind of been compiling, and I thought that my podcast would be a great way to share them with you. So the first one I'm going to talk about is I discovered a new podcast. This gentleman, Bill Ringle, is in Podcaster's Paradise, which is what Ryan and I are in, and you can always check my show notes for information about that. And he has a really awesome podcast called Quest for the Best. And he interviewed a gentleman named Gay Hendricks. And it's not the first time that I've heard someone talk about this, but I just can't remember where I heard it from before. It could have been Abraham Hicks or something else. It's not been all that common out there. That's why when I heard it discussed in this podcast, my ears perked up and was like, oh yeah, this is not the first time I've heard this. This is great. And I'm going to start practicing it as well. And that is using 2 words to kick off your manifesting. And that is, I wonder. So I'm going to give you some examples. And I want you to either think about these or think about ones that you can say on your own. And honestly, it's an easy thing to do while you're driving or walking or washing your dishes. So here we go. I wonder what great things are going to happen today. I wonder what opportunities are coming my way. I wonder what great people I'm going to meet. I wonder how my life is going to become more abundant. I wonder what new things I'm going to learn about. I wonder what opportunities will come to me to help others. I wonder what guidance I'm going to receive. I wonder how I can best serve. I know personally when I say those, I get such an amazing feeling. It just puts you right into the zone. Hence why I really wanted to share this with all of you today. Another thing that I kind of took a bunch of bits and pieces and put it together in my own is kind of a second part of this that maybe you could do together or you could do it separately if you choose. I always say whatever works for you, go for it, but just do something, practice, make it a habit. And that is I release. And I did pick up a little bit of this from the Gabby Bernstein that I mentioned in one of my daily Instagram shares. I think it was Saturdays, that I am in her Miracle Membership program, which I love. And feel free to DM me or email me if you want some more information about that. I'm not an affiliate. It's just information. I'm totally open to sharing. But she's talking about her Super Attractor book coming out, which I'm extremely excited about. I love Gabby, have for a very long time. And she talks about releasing. So to attract more, to manifest more, you have to also release. So some notes I wrote down, just general thoughts, and you can pull from it whatever works for you. But these are ones off the top of my head that I took notes on to share with you today that you can make part of a I release statement. I release all judgment. I release manic manifesting. I release worry. I release fear. I release competitive thoughts. I release pushiness. I release impatience. I release snarkiness. I release narcissism. I release arrogance. I release any of these things that are a part of my demeanor, and I refuse to let anyone that has any of those traits disrupt my positive energy. So I know for me, mine is impatience. It's got my name all over it. And so that's a big one for me. And, Ryan and I, we have to deal a lot with customers, with his charter business, and obviously with all the things that I do as well. So there's all sorts of traits out there. You can probably think of some ones I did not list. And whether it's things you know about yourself, like my impatience, or it's things you have with family members or business associates, whatever, you can make those on your list and personalize it for you. In general, I always talk about breathing. Everyone does talk about breathing, and I don't think it can be talked about enough. So in between all of those things, when you're doing any of those sayings, just sit quietly and breathe and take your time. If you can just spend 10 minutes a day working on something like this, whether it's in addition to your meditation, if you meditate, whether it's part of your meditation, or it's something new that you want to try and you've thought to yourself, I can't meditate. Well, maybe try something like this and maybe it will help you. And the last one I'm going to talk about is 3 words, and that is, it is done. And that is also in conjunction with amen or amen. And I learned something this weekend too, and that I went to church as a child and learned to pray, and I still pray. I don't go to church anymore, but Ryan and I pray every night before we go to bed. And we are as guilty of this as it seems like the majority of the population is, and that is we say amen as just to close our prayer. But we don't really think about what that word means and what you're sending to the universe. So the word amen means it is done, and you're truly releasing your prayers, your requests, whatever struggles you may have going on, whatever you're wishing for, or even just being grateful for. A lot of our prayer between Ryan and I is always in gratitude first. And that's what that means. And just to take a moment and think about that instead of just being like, amen, and moving on, but realize that truly one of the most important parts of your prayer is the final close. It is saying to the universe, to God, to spirit, to source, whatever you want to refer to it, and that is that you trust fully that it is done. So I will leave you with that. I'm not going to say another mantra or affirmation. I think I probably gave you all enough to think about. And hopefully you share this podcast with a friend. I would love to hear from you. Please DM me or email me at melinda@melindavanfleet.com. If you love my podcast, I'd also appreciate a rating and a review on Apple. It just helps me grow, and it also helps me just learn what you guys like. I really love hearing what you like so I can do more of that. And I'm always open to suggestions because I'm always trying to get better. You can follow me on Instagram or LinkedIn. And until next time, be grateful, be curious, always be learning. And you know what? Have some fun too. Thanks for listening.